last season wasn't so easy in the Big Easy. But now, new leadership, new culture, and an overhaul of players that are young, fresh, exciting, and hungry look to change how the New Orleans Pelicans look, not only this year, but moving forward in the foreseeable future as well. Welcome to Study Hall with Steven Alves. This is the Offseason review of the New Orleans Pelicans. When looking at the New Orleans Pelicans last season, there were definitely some strengths and some weaknesses. When we talk about strengths, offensive efficiency was very good for them. They were tied for 11th last season. And all that really stemmed from being able to attack the paint, which they were first in the percentage of their total points being scored in the paint. Pace, Alvin Gentry had them second in the league with the amount of possessions per game. They played really fast. Finding the open man, they were 7th in the league in assist ratio, which was very good. All that really led to good offensive efficiency, which really helped them out with getting the 33 wins they got last season. On top of that, they were also a very good rebounding team. They were 6th in rebounding percentage last season as well. So all that, but there were still some weaknesses that came along with the team last year. Defensive efficiency was not very good for them. They were tied for 23rd in the league. And all that really came from not being able to protect the paint. They were 27th in opponent points per game in the paint. They were 25th in getting back, so in protecting transition. And they were 27th in allowing points off turnovers. So they weren't really good in those three categories, which are really three crucial stats that need to be controlled throughout the course of the game. When you look at turnovers were also an issue for the Pelicans last season. They were 22nd in turnover percentage, so about 14% of their possessions would end in turnovers. And shooting the ball from deep, they weren't a good three-point shooting team. They were 24th in three-point percentage, which was also very tough for them. All that led to a 33-49 record for the Pelicans, who also missed the playoffs. So key storylines for this past offseason. Anthony Davis is now gone. Davis was the former cornerstone for the Pelicans franchise moving forward. But you know what? Out with the old, in with the new. With the first overall pick in the NBA draft, the Pelicans were able to select Zion Williamson from Duke University, who arguably is the most touted pick we've had since LeBron James to come into the NBA in 2003. And more importantly, if not just as important as Zion, is the new culture that Mrs. Benson, the owner of the Pelicans, was able to implement. It starts at the top with David Griffin. David Griffin, as a front office executive, won the Cavs their first ever NBA championship in 2016. So bringing in someone like that who knows what it takes to build from the ground up and really help a team win the right way is going to be huge. And not only you have David Griffin, but you also have Swin Cash, former WNBA legend, who is now the VP of basketball operations for the New Orleans Pelicans. She has an amazing mind if you ever heard her speak, if you ever heard any of her interviews, and she's going to really help out the Pelicans a lot moving forward. But not just those two, you bring in other guys, like you bring in Trajan Langdon, who won Executive of the Year for the Long Island Nets. You bring in Chico Averbuck, and you bring in Adam Barnes from the Cleveland Cavaliers. And everyone that's coming here, which really impresses me, that Mrs. Benson was able to do, has all been a part of sustainable success, right? So they all know what it's like to help a team that's at the top stay at the top. And to me, that's really important because that shows that ownership really cares about the future, and they're bringing in high-class, high-character front office people that are really going to be able to help the Pelicans stay relevant for a very long time. So the future is very bright in New Orleans moving forward, and last season definitely has no indication whatsoever of how this franchise is going to be ran or how this franchise is going to progress moving forward, especially with the people they have now in the front office. There really aren't a lot of people returning next year for the Pelicans. You have Drew Holiday, who is arguably going to be their best player next season. Front office has been very adamant to the media that he's going to be the leader and this is going to be his team moving forward. Holiday made the past 2 NBA All-Defensive teams, and he's also an All-Star caliber talent. Frank Jackson and Kenrich Williams are both coming back for their sophomore season. They were both rookies last year. Played a good amount of minutes, played a good amount of games, and they're looking to definitely build on their rookie season in their sophomore campaign. Etuan Moore is going to be coming back after playing almost 30 minutes a game last year. Darius Miller unfortunately ruptured his Achilles in an off-season workout, so he's going to be out next season. He still has a very bright future ahead of him as a shooter, and I'm excited to see what the future holds for Miller going forward. Jahlil Okafor played really well towards the end of last season, trying to really solidify himself as someone that can get minutes this year and is really going to be valuable when it comes time for him to get a new contract. So hopefully he can use that momentum that he had towards the end of last season to really push that into going towards next year and become a valuable asset for the Pelicans on the court throughout the season. So when we talk about new additions, we have a lot of people we have to go over. There are 9 players that are going to probably all be key rotation players for the Pelicans moving forward. So it's a lot, right? When we look at guards, we have 1 rookie in the guard category, and that's Nickeil Alexander-Walker coming from Virginia Tech. And then you have Lonzo Ball and Josh Hart coming in the trade for Anthony Davis from the Los Angeles Lakers. You have JJ Redick coming as a free agent from the Philadelphia 76ers. Then we move on to the forwards. You have Zion Williamson, the rookie, coming from Duke. Nicolo Melli coming from playing professional basketball in Turkey. You have Brandon Ingram also coming from the trade from the Lakers for Anthony Davis. And then centers. Derek Favors got traded for 2 second-round picks. And Jackson Hayes is a rookie coming from Texas. So you have a lot of new changes to the roster, but I can really see a lot of these guys being key rotation players. So let's get into how each of these guys are really going to help out next season in New Orleans and what they're going to do on the court to be able to contribute to winning. So now I'm going to show you guys a quick video that's relevant to the review of our first player we're going to cover. So take a second and watch this real quick. So I'm guaranteed a lot of you guys have to be asking, what was that? That was the New Orleans Pelicans ticket office during the night of the draft lottery. So that was when they found out that the Pelicans had the number 1 overall pick before they were even able to go and select Zion Williamson on draft night. They knew with the number 1 overall pick, it was consensus that Zion Williamson was going to be taken and will be a Pelican the following season, before it was even official. But what people don't know is that same night during the draft lottery, before he was even selected to be a Pelican during the NBA draft, the Pelicans ticket office sold over 3,000 season tickets that same night. And going from the period from the draft lottery when they got the number 1 overall pick to the actual draft when they were able to select Zion Williamson, before it was even official, the Pelicans sold over 10,000 season tickets. And that's just the effect that Zion Williamson has, right? He's able to really transcend what a program is in terms of their fan base, their notoriety, and really what they're known for. And all that's coming through his basketball play, his likability through the media. And he did the same thing at Duke. When he was at Duke, Duke's a prestigious program. Coach K has built something wonderful over there. You know, they've had countless NBA players and stars come from Duke. But Zion Williamson was able to put them on TV almost every single night. And he really helped elevate that program to something that no one even thought could be elevated to even more, right? And he's going to do the same thing for the Pelicans, and he's already started doing the same thing for the Pelicans. And he's an electrifying player that does so many things well in the basketball court that it's insane. That's why I call him a generational talent. It's only one of him that comes around, and He's really the most touted rookie we've had since LeBron James came in 2003. Right? Everybody wants Zion. Everybody needs Zion because not only will he do so many things great for you on the court, but he's going to fill seats and he's going to really bring a huge fan base. Going into the draft, Zion had 3 million followers on social media already. He hasn't even played an NBA game yet. So what does that tell you? That tells you that he has a following that's going to be loyal to him and a following that's going to be sticking with him wherever he goes. So now let me go ahead and show you how he does stuff on the court and why he really was led to the number 1 overall pick aside from his big social media presence. Offensive efficiency is Zion Williamson. He was in the 99th percentile in college basketball last season in points per possession, and a lot of that really started in transition. In transition, he's really able to do a multitude of things. He can finish at the rim with an electrifying dunk, as you just saw in those past 2 plays, because of his athleticism, but he's also able to finish at the rim acrobatically. And what that does is it really helps him to get around defenders, to be able to get better looks at the rim and transition for more quality scoring opportunities. But what really impressed me, especially with him being only 19, is he doesn't look for or shy away from contact. When he's going towards the rim, he's okay with getting hit and getting fouled, but it's bonus, right? He wants to score every time, and that's going to help him out a lot next season because he's going to get a lot more and ones and have a lot more stronger finishes and easier opportunities at the rim. Now, what he's also very good at is offensive rebounding. Williamson was in the 97th percentile in college basketball last season in terms of scoring off of offensive rebounds. He's able to really use a quick step and a quick jump to have an advantage when it comes to getting towards rebounds. And offensively, he's strong enough and he's smart enough to be able to take it back up quick, get up high enough to where he can finish either around contact or through contact. Williamson's ability to score in the post is also very good. He was in the 99th percentile in college basketball when it came to scoring out of the post. He has an array of moves, as you can see right there with the up and under, but he really likes using this drop step move, as you'll see in these next couple plays, just to be able to use his body to push the defender out of the way to get as close as he can to the rim. And to me, it's smart because that shows that he knows how to get a good shot, how to use his body to his advantage, as you can see right there. And that's really going to help him out a lot next year in the NBA. He's also really good at sealing off people when he's going middle to be able to get an easy layup. So he's good at reading the space and reading the defense and knowing how to spin to seal off when the ball goes to the weak side, so he has an easy ability for a lane. As I'm sure you've noticed from his ability to seal off people, he's also very gifted at moving without the basketball to find open shots and open crevices in the defense. Cutting is definitely a great ability of Zion Williamson's, and he uses that to his advantage with his athleticism to be able to get to his spots and where he wants to go, and then use his athleticism to help take him over the top to finish over defenders and tough defenses. So that's definitely huge when it comes to playing in the NBA because you need to know how to move without the ball in order to maximize your offensive potential, and he really understands that well, especially for someone that's just a teenager. Williamson's a very good isolation player. His ability to finish with both hands at the rim and also drive both left and right really helps him out in terms of being able to have more opportunities to score. Not only does the ambidextrous ability really give him an advantage, but he's also able to use his 284-pound frame to really outmuscle and bully defenders on his way to the rim. No one wants to get in front of him. It's like you're about to get hit by a freight train, right? No one wants that. And Williamson is amazing at being able to use his given abilities and gifts to be able to take advantage of defenders. Something I really liked about Williamson when I was watching his film is his ability to control the ball in pick and roll situations. As a pick and roll ball handler, he's very good at having a quick crossover, but also being able to use his body to get to the rim and go over the top to be able to finish over defenders, which I thought was very interesting and it's going to help him out a lot next season. When you talk about defensively, Zion Williamson is a monster. He was fifth in the ACC in blocks. He averaged 1.8 blocks per game, and he's really adept to using his athleticism and also his unique timing to be able to really swat away shots. He can do it from the rim, but really what impresses me also is his ability to block without fouling on the perimeter. That timing that he has is just something that's insane, and we really don't see that from players, especially of his age, which I really think is extremely impressive. In terms of steals, he also was really over the top. He was second in steals in the ACC and averaged 2.1 steals per game, which, the culmination between the two and his defense really had him at 13th in the NCAA in defensive win shares. So he knew how to translate his steals and his blocks and his overall defensive effort into winning for Duke. And that's something that the Pelicans are really going to need and look forward to next season. Another rookie on the Pelicans roster that fans definitely need to be excited for is Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Alexander-Walker stepped onto the scene in Summer League, averaging over 24 points, 6 assists, nearly 5 rebounds, almost 3 steals a game, all while shooting 41% from the field. He was all first team NBA Summer League, and the transition that he was able to make going from Virginia Tech, which is where he's coming from, to playing against professionals, to me was really impressive. He's a combo guard. His specialties include pick and roll, ball handling, transition, and defense. And I can really see Alexander Walker being the guy that was the so-called steal of the draft. And let me go into why. Alexander Walker's pick and roll ability when it comes to not only being able to create shots for himself out of pick and rolls, but for his teammates as well, was very good last season. He was in the 72nd percentile when it came to either scoring or assisting off pick and rolls. And you could tell, right? His ability to come off of screens quick and be able to finish strong at the rim through contact was something that really was impressive throughout his entire year last year at Virginia Tech. But his ability to really take advantage of his peripheral vision to find players all over the court was something that I noticed, and that's really going to help him out a lot going forward in the NBA. He can find players off of pick and rolls down low. He can find players in the corner. He knows where all of his teammates are at, and that's really something that every NBA team needs out of their point guard on the floor, because you want to utilize all the offensive talents you have, especially in a league with as great of offensive talents as the NBA has. Alexander Walker is also a dangerous shooter, and he's looking to let it fly when he's open on the perimeter. Last season, 26% of his total offense came from spot-up jump shots from behind the arc, and he also was very good at converting it. He was in the 82nd percentile when it came to converting spot-up shots, and he shot over 37% from 3 with nearly 4.5 3-point attempts per game. Alexander Walker's ability to finish in transition was also very impressive to me. He can really use his strength and his ability to finish in contact as the ball handler, which is really effective when it comes to getting quick and easy points. But what I saw that was impressive is he really knows how to also fill a lane. So when he's running, if someone else has the ball in transition, he knows how to get to a spot for an easy layup or finish at the rim. Defensively, Alexander Walker is a hound. He was in the 92nd percentile when it came to opponents' points per possession on defense. And really what caught my eye and what I think is his most impressive defensive ability is his ability to guard pick and rolls. When guarding a pick and roll ball handler, he was able to force a turnover 44.7% of the time. Just think about that. That's almost half the time he was guarding a pick and roll, he forced a turnover. So using his ability and using his length to his advantage is something that really I think will help him out at the next level, and I'm excited to see how that's going to translate, especially with how much pick and rolls are ran in the NBA today. If Alexander Walker isn't the steal of the draft, then Jackson Hayes very well might be. He's a rookie, he's coming from Texas, and he specializes in pick and roll, reading space, finishing in transition, and playing tough defense. I really think that Jackson Hayes has the ability to have one of the longest careers in this draft class because of his ability to really fit into any team system. And he's a plug-and-play player, right? You can just put him in anywhere on any team, and he's going to do the same thing. He's going to play hard, he's going to rebound, he's going to finish at the rim, and he's going to be effective. And to me, those are the keys really to a player that's going to be around the NBA for a long time, and I really see that as his future moving forward. Hayes' ability to score off of pick and rolls was one of the best in the nation last year. Points per possession off of pick and rolls was ranked in the 95th percentile, and a lot of it was due to his hands. Out of any player I studied in this entire draft class, he definitely had the best hands. They were really DeAndre Jordan-esque to me, in that he could really catch the ball in almost impossible situations and still use his strength and coordination to be able to finish and get easy opportunities at the rim for himself and his teammates. Hayes is a very patient player, and he's smart at knowing when to find and where to find different crevices in the defense. He's very good at taking advantage of leaving when his defender goes to go help out on the ball handler. It's going to help him out a lot next year, especially with the guards that he has and the penetration ability the Pelicans are going to have when it comes to Drew Holiday, Lonzo Ball, and Alexander Walker going towards the basket. You've seen him finish off of pick and rolls, and you've also seen him find crevices in the defense for easy dunks. But can he finish with his back to the basket? The answer to that question is definitely yes. He has a dependable right-hand jump hook that lets him go over his left shoulder. He's smart, he knows how to get good positioning in the post, and he's strong enough to finish through contact and go up straight to keep his mechanics and form consistent. I haven't really seen him use his left hand too much in terms of jump hooks, but his right hand is definitely dependable, and it's definitely an option for him in his offensive repertoire. Hayes was a very efficient defender last year for Texas. He was really good at using his 6'11.5" height with his 7'3.5" wingspan to disrupt players on the defensive end. When you talk about post defense, he was in the 87th percentile in the nation at getting stops in the post. So what does that mean? To me, when he got those stops when I was watching, it was really mainly off his size. He knows how to make himself big, get his hands up, and really disrupt the player's vision when they're trying to get a shot off in the post and make them second guess what they're doing. That's a skill that's going to translate over, and that's something you want a lot of you young guys to be able to know, is how to use their size to disrupt players around the rim. Coordination-wise, he was amazing when it came to getting blocks. He averaged 3.4 blocks per 36 minutes, and his hands and his ability to time when he would go up and swat the ball away was something that was really efficient, and that's going to help a lot next year when it comes to being an intimidator and making a name for himself around the rim. So that's it for the rookies. So now we're going to move into the free agents that signed with the Pelicans this past offseason. You want a class act? Look no further than JJ Redick. He's coming from the Philadelphia 76ers. He signed a 2-year, $26.5 million deal. And his specialties include shooting, moving without the ball, and pick and roll ball handling. We're going to get into each of those in a second, but I just want to point out now, before I get into this, that JJ Redick, in my opinion, has the ability to be the difference maker this season that gets the Pelicans to the playoffs. I think they have a really good roster, but his ability to play on and off the ball offensively and his leadership skills are going to be what really helps them get over the hump this year, and I'm expecting him to have a phenomenal season with the Orleans Pelicans. Last season, JJ Redick had a career year. He averaged 18.1 points per game on a team that was really contending for an NBA championship. And a lot of people ask how. And how he does it is his ability to move without the ball. You can see here he's so dangerous at creating space when he's moving without the ball. Last year, 32% of his offense, just like right here, came off of handoffs, which he was really efficient off of scoring off of. And he's also really good at moving around screens off the ball. So if you set a screen for him, he's smart enough to really get low, use it, get around it, and get open for a shot. And he knows, he's confident, right? He knows he's one of the greatest shooters to ever play basketball. And he knows when he gets open that he's going to have a great look, and he takes advantage of that. And to me, having a player that's smart like that is really an asset on the team. In transition, he runs the floor well, and he's always looking for three-point opportunities. His ability to move without the ball, as we just stated, is really dangerous. And JJ Redick is 21st all-time in made threes in NBA history. And he is 22nd all-time in playoff made threes in NBA history. Right, so he knows how to knock down shots at a really high rate. That's what he's always looking to do, and he's really good at doing it. Brett Brown really took advantage of Redick's ability to be a great pick-and-roll ball handler. Last season, he was in the 97th percentile when it came to scoring off of pick-and-rolls. His ability to not only hit shots from long range, but also hit shots from mid-range really helped him out, and it really makes his game versatile when it comes to his ability to score after getting a good screen set. But what also really impressed me is his ability to pass out of pick and rolls. When you look at passing combined with his ability to score off of pick and rolls, he was in the 93rd percentile when it came to assists or himself scoring. So when I look at that, I mean, you're going to have guys like Zion, like Jackson Hayes, like Derek Favors setting screens, and he's going to have a lot more options this year with the Pelicans off of pick and rolls than he had last year with the Philadelphia 76ers. And I'm really excited to see how he's going to take advantage of that, because I think that the system he's going to be in and the personnel he's going to be with is really going to fit his skill set very well. Next we have Nicolo Melli. He's a power forward whose specialties include shooting and cutting. He last played on Fenerbahce in Turkey, and he signed a 2-year, $8 million contract. He's 28 years old, and he's going to be a rookie this upcoming season. He wasn't drafted, but it's not uncommon for European players like that who have success overseas to come over as they're older. I don't know if a lot of you guys remember Pablo Prigioni when he came over to the New York Knicks. He was 35 years old. Marcelo Huertas, when he came to the Lakers, he was 32. Even most recently, Milos Teodosic, when he came to the Clippers, he was 30. And players have had success doing that, right? Going and being really successful overseas, where you're more comfortable if you're an international prospect, and then coming over later when you're ready. When you look at even Arvydas Sabonis, one of the greatest big men in NBA history, he came over when he was 31 years old to the Portland Trailblazers, right? So it's not that any of these guys that are older have failed or anything overseas. They're coming over because they're taking their time and they're making sure they're ready to play against higher level competition. And a lot of times that might be the smartest move, right? Depending on the player and the situation. Melli's biggest asset next season for the Pelicans is definitely going to be his ability to stretch the floor. He's going to give Alvin Gentry a stretch 4/5 that's going to be able to play big without sacrificing height. Right, so he's 6'9". He's going to be able to step out, but he's going to give Zion some ability to play inside without it being super contested, right? Because you have to stay at least honest to Melli, because he can knock down threes at a high rate. You're also going to be sacrificing some shots with Lonzo on the court, so he's going to help kind of make up for that gap as well, especially in the second unit. What he's also very good at doing is cutting. He's smart, and he can see plays happen before it unfolds, which is really good. So being a 28-year-old rookie, he's seen a lot when it comes to just basketball in general. He's experienced. He's played professional basketball since he was 16. So he knows what's going on. And his ability to really see a tick ahead of the play is going to help him out a lot in the NBA, because he's going to find more open looks for himself. What I think he really needs to improve on is this. He's not good at converting off of pick and pop or pick and roll situations, which is really interesting to me, because when I was watching him play, he can get open off of those situations, but he just couldn't convert. And that's something he's going to have to be able to fix next year, especially if he wants to stay on the court with Alvin Gentry's team, because they're going to rely on him to knock down shots. And that's why he's there. Right? In terms of Euro play, he was in the bottom 26th percentile in terms of converting pick and roll, pick and pop situations. not going to be good enough next year in the NBA for that. Derek Favors is going to have a huge impact on the Pelicans roster from day one. He's a power forward / center coming from the Utah Jazz who specializes in pick and roll finishing, rebounding, transition. He runs very hard in transition, and making himself big on the defensive end. In a lot of interviews that you can go read online with David Griffin, he says that Derek Favors has the potential to really be the person that they play through offensively. And I can definitely see that happening. I think Derek Favors is really versatile on the offensive end, and he gives a lot of options that a lot of big men are really going to have trouble in today's NBA defending. So let's take a look at why he said that and how he's going to be able to use his talents next season in New Orleans. The first threat you have to see when you talk about Derek Favors is his ability to really roll hard off of pick and rolls and finish strong at the rim with his size, using his hands and his soft touch. He's also very athletic, so he can finish strong as well. He knows how to catch the ball, he knows how to go through contact, and he knows when it's appropriate to shoot the ball and when it's not, which leads to a very high percentage. He shot about 60% out of pick and roll situations last year, which was really good for the Utah Jazz, especially for a team that struggled to score as much as they did. Favors is effort. You can't talk about effort without talking about Derek Favors, and that really is exhibited by his offensive rebounding capabilities. He's always looking to give that second effort to create second chance opportunities for his teammates. He was in the upper 83rd percentile when it came to scoring off of offensive rebounds last season, and he will always just give 100%. And that's something you want from your big men. That's something you want from any player, honestly. And Derek Favors does that. You can tell that with his transition. Look how fast he runs in transition. He's running hard towards the rim every single time. He doesn't want anything to get in his way. And having a player like that on a team that was second in the league in pace last year is going to be wonderful for Alvin Gentry. He's going to be able to play a lot of minutes, and he's going to fit right in from day one. And that's something that you really can't find a lot with just any player that you're able to pick up, especially for 2 second-round picks. Derek Favors is going to fit perfectly into this team. When you talk about offensive efficiency from the post, Derek Favors is definitely high up there. He was in the 93rd percentile when it came to scoring off of post shots, and he does it in a multitude of ways. He's able to score from both hands off of his jump hook. He has a left-hand jump hook that you're about to see right here. He's able to take advantage of. He's strong, he's big, he can back down defenders. He shoots naturally with his right, so he's still able to really go with his right easily towards the basket and take advantage of that. He can read the defense well behind him, and he's very adept at doing so. And to me, that really helps out not just him, but his teammates as well, because when he starts doing that in the post, the defenders have to dig on him, leaving other guys with more space and knock down shots. JJ Redick, Alexander Walker, those guys are going to have easier opportunities. He also can face up here, as you can see, against James Harden, and then here against John Collins. He can face you up and drive towards the basket against you to get the easy shot off. He's just really efficient in terms of scoring, and he has untapped potential, just like David Griffin has said multiple times to the media. Favors is very good at protecting the rim when it comes to pick and roll ball handlers. He's good at using his size, his footwork, and his agility to really make sure that ball handlers don't get to the rim and they're forced into tough shots away from the basket coming off of pick and rolls. He was really good at doing that last year for the Jazz, and he's definitely going to take that with him to New Orleans next season. And what really surprised me was, it's just his effort, right? It's like I said before, Derek Favors is effort. So when the shot goes up around Derek Favors, and I have a couple clips here just so you guys can see it, he's always going to contest it, right? He's always going to give that extra 110% that you're always going to want. And not every NBA player does that. And so having that on your team, especially with a player as skilled as Derek Favors is really an asset and a gem. And Derek Favors is going to really do wonders next year on both ends of the floor for the New Orleans Pelicans for years to come, hopefully, if he resigns. Next, we're going to go into the guys that were included in the trade for Anthony Davis. Lonzo Ball is the first one. Lonzo Ball is a point guard. He's coming from the Los Angeles Lakers. His specialties include passing and isolation defense. So Lonzo's definitely struggled a lot offensively over the past couple seasons. We can probably say a lot of that had to be attributed to injuries, but I just chose to focus on what he was good at and what he's shown us he's very good at, and that's being able to pass out of drives. When he's going towards the rim, he's really good at using his peripheral to find different teammates in different situations, and that's going to be very good, especially next year with the finishers and the teammates he has that have great hands and great catching abilities. Defensively, his best quality has to be his isolation defense. He's able to really keep up with players, and he steps up to the challenge of guarding players one-on-one when his man gets the ball. You can see here he's guarding Russell Westbrook. He's going to force Westbrook into a tough shot. It's not easy making Russell Westbrook work that hard for a shot, right? And you can see here with De'Aaron Fox too. It's the same thing. Right? It's tough. He makes you take a tough shot. He uses his length and his athleticism a little bit to really challenge you and make himself keep his base to make it hard for you to get where you want to go. He's also a very sneaky post defender. He was in the 70th percentile when it came to opponents' points per possession off of post shots. It's kind of a similar situation. He's good at using his base to stop you from going where you want to go, keeping his balance and making it hard for the offensive player. And I think that's something that's really underrated, and it's really going to help him out, especially with his future with the Pelicans, the versatility and him being able to switch on defense. Brandon Ingram is the next player we're going to cover that's coming from the Los Angeles Lakers in the trade for Anthony Davis. He's a small forward. He has 1 more year left on his contract, and his specialties include transition, isolation, and shot contesting. Ingram's a difficult cover in transition, and that's where almost 20% of his offense came from last season. He's 6'9", has a 7'3" wingspan. He's athletic, and he knows how to use his length to his advantage, especially when it comes to finishing around the rim. It makes it really tough to guard him, right? Because he's able to move quick, and he's really going to have a height advantage almost over everybody he's going to play against on the perimeter. So he can see that, and not only does he have the height advantage, but he's really quick, and he's really wiry, so he can use that kind of quick, wiry speed to get around players and to get to the rim quicker. He's not bulky, so he doesn't have a harder time trying to get past players like that, right? Especially players at his size. If you're bigger, it's going to be a little bit harder. But with him, he's able to really use that to his advantage. And he's also very good at playing in isolation situations. That's where a lot of his points also came from. To that same effect, it's just using the wiry speed to kind of get around players and the agility to get to where he needs to go. One thing that I noticed with Ingram is really good at also is his ability to move without the ball. He can find different cuts in different situations to get to the rim, so players always have to keep their eye out for him because he's looking to score every time he cuts, which is something that's really good, for a player to be able to see the play happen before it does, like he can, and find different open opportunities. It really helps out everybody. Defensively, Ingram was really good last season at contesting shots and using his 7'3" wingspan to be able to do so. He's definitely going to continue that over to the Pelicans next season. And when you're as long and as athletic as he is, it definitely makes shots harder for shooters, especially because you can cover so much ground like he can. Something that I really noticed when I was watching his film though is his ability to create turnovers off of handoff situations. So he's able to use his length to really kind of come out of nowhere to stick his arm out to really disrupt passes and to disrupt ball handlers' ability to get to where they want to go off of handoff situations. I think that's something that's really special. Last but not least, we have Josh Hart. He was also included in that trade for Anthony Davis from the Los Angeles Lakers. His specialties include transition and defense, and he's a shooting guard. In transition, Josh Hart is a very hard cover. He is a very good finisher around the rim. He's able to use acrobatic finishes to finish through contact. He's athletic to the point where he can go and finish over the top and dunk if he needs to. He has lots of different opportunities and ways he's able to score in transition, especially from three. And that's something that's really dangerous and teams have to watch out for, right? Because he's able to also play off the ball in transition as well as play with it. And that makes him a very hard cover for a lot of teams. And so it's going to be really interesting, especially with the team that plays as fast as New Orleans does, how he's going to fit in with that and what he's going to be able to bring, because he should be able to contribute from day one. He's also a very deceptive cutter. He's able to cut and find different paths to the rim, and as long as he has a teammate that's willing to find him, you're going to be able to find him. He's going to be able to finish strong in contact because that's what he's really good at doing. So that's very good to have someone that can do that, just like we said with a lot of the players the Pelicans picked up this offseason, because it makes the game easy for everybody. Josh Hart is a good defender, and a lot of that stems from his ability to switch. He's very good at guarding pick and roll ball handlers because he's able to provide his team with more options in terms of switching on to different players. And when he does that, he is effective enough to the point where he can poke the ball loose when they try to hit the roller, or he's also good and a very sneaky post defender as well. So with that being said, it's hard to play against him because he's so versatile, and the NBA is so much about mismatches, and he kind of limits those when he's on defense. So you can see here he gets switched on to Kawhi, guarding Kawhi in the post, makes Kawhi take a tough shot, it's a miss. And then you're going to see the same thing here with DeMar DeRozan, one of the best post-up guards we have in the NBA. Just kind of staying with him, keeping his base, making it tough, contesting, hard shot. So now it's time to give them a grade. The grade I gave the New Orleans Pelicans for this past offseason was an A+. And let me get into the reason why I gave them an A+. Starts from the bottom down, right? So Mrs. Benson bringing in culture builders like David Griffin, like Swing Cash, it changes everything. It brings in a new precedence for the organization, and it sets a new tone, and it sets new expectations for the players in terms of what they're supposed to do, how they're supposed to accomplish it, and what the corporate culture is supposed to be like. And to me, that was a huge part of giving them the grade I gave them. But then you look at the players that David Griffin and Swing Cash were able to bring in. You look at Zion Williamson, who's a generational talent. He has the potential to really be one of the best players in the NBA over the next decade, which is something that not a lot of players can say about themselves, right? But then you bring in other players that really fit the system very well. They're threats in transition. They're going to play well with Alvin Gentry's team that was second in the league in pace last year. He likes to run, and David Griffin and Swing Cash brought in players that will run and that will run and finish effectively, right? So you look at JJ Redick being able to really play pick and rolls well. He's also a very good shooter, a threat from deep, one of the greatest shooters the NBA has ever seen. Lonzo Ball's passing ability in transition is going to be huge. Jackson Hayes and Derek Favors, their pick and roll ability, their hands, their ability to run fast in transition with their athleticism is definitely going to be a big part of that. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, just like Jackson Hayes, has the potential to be one of the biggest steals of the draft. His development and what we've seen so far from him in Summer League, with his ability to dominate, really scoring over 24 points a game, averaging 3 steals a game, it was huge. Right, and Nicola Melli coming over provides them with a stretch big that they really don't have. It's going to give them another option. So just so many things that they were able to do in culmination, bringing in new culture, but also bringing in players that fit the way that Alvin Gentry wants to play and that are really set to have success for their team. That's something to me that's huge, not just for this season, but for the foreseeable future. So they definitely deserved the A+ that I gave them, and I'm excited to watch the Pelicans moving forward. And that does it for the New Orleans Pelicans review episode of Study Hall with Steven Alves. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe on these videos. Let me know your thoughts. I know a lot of people have been saying a lot of stuff, and I really like it. I like hearing what you guys have to think about these reviews. I like hearing what you guys have to think about the teams, and I look forward to doing more of them. Also, please make sure to go follow on all my social media to keep up. Thanks, and see you guys next time.